Hello and welcome to everyone accompanying us in the newest episode of Pier-to-Pier podcast, the one place where we explore the people who reside within the virtual worlds and the stories and knowledge that they carry. Tonight at the pier, I have somebody with big dreams and big aspirations. Somebody that wants to soar the skies, not just the virtual ones, but the real skies. Somebody that I do believe has an interesting story to tell, an interesting journey, somebody that can get very far. Tonight at the pier, I have with me EllyBelly. Elly, welcome to the pier.
Hello, nice to be here.
Well, let's begin the right way. I want to know your story. I want you to introduce yourself to our great audience.
Okay, well, hello everybody. I'm EllyBelly. I am a student pilot at I suppose I'll say at Vaughan College, and yeah, that's really it. I'm a student pilot.
Well, what is Vaughan College?
Vaughan College.
The college you said.
Yeah, it started out as a maintenance place for to teach people about how to maintain aircraft and all that stuff. But now they partnered with a flight school called Heritage Flight Academy, all the way in Long Island, and now people can become pilots by attending Vaughan College.
Okay, wait, how do you spell it? Because I heard Vaughan College, but I feel like I'm butchering it myself.
No, you're saying it right. Vaughan College. VAUJHN. Vaughan.
Oh, Vaughan. Okay. Vaughan College. Okay, now I get it. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I get it now. So you attend Vaughan College, but you said it was mostly first for mechanical, I imagine like flight engineering and that sort of thing before it became a piloting school. Did you join when it was still a flight mechanical school, or afterwards when they started doing the piloting?
No, I joined
gigs?
way after they started doing pilot stuff, and ATC, I should add. They recently got what's called the licensing from the FAA to actually train air traffic controllers, so people don't have to fly out and go to the one that the government does, which is very good for everyone because it saves people time and money.
This place does everything then, like flight
It's a bit of
engineering,
everything, yeah.
piloting school, ATC training. Like that's an interesting place in
If
Long
only we actually
Island.
got to fly out of there, because the college is right next to LaGuardia. I'm in New York, by the way, for people who don't know where Vaughan College is. Sadly, we can't fly out of LaGuardia because it is Class B airspace. We can't do student piloting out of a very busy airport like that, let alone Class B airspace. Class B airspace, you need it is heavily regulated. I'll just say there's a lot that goes to it, but it's just heavily regulated airspace. Which is why we have to go so far just to fly.
You go to an interesting place. Like you go to learn piloting, how to become a pilot. A really cool place. I didn't know it existed. I mean, usually, like you said, ATC is usually taught at government institutions or even at the same airports. Like it's very hard to get yourself into ATC as well as piloting, especially in a big and dense city like New York. I mean, it's mostly skyscrapers. I mean,
yeah.
It's really interesting. But now what I really want to know is, where did you got your itch for flying? Where did your love for the air come from?
I'd have to say a lot of it is from my mother. She works for Delta. She doesn't fly planes, or she's not a flight attendant either. She works like cargo and stuff. But because she works for Delta, she gets a lot of perks, especially during COVID. During COVID, or I should say when COVID was ending, they gave a lot of tickets out to their employees. Basically, you got to fly for free. And so after COVID, and I think one time there was like something wrong with the computers, so they gave them out. I don't remember specifically, but yeah, So long story short, my mother got a bunch of tickets for us to fly for free, and yeah, we also get discounts and stuff. So it's very nice.
And that's where you got your love for flying.
Yeah, I'd have to. That's the majority. I remember another thing my grandmother would always like whenever we watched like a TV show involving like a pilot or something. She'd always say that how brave they are and like they're like the best people ever. So that like reinforced it, to be honest.
But interesting. I mean, I have friends who are really into flying, but mostly, you know, in simulators. They never
Mhm.
position themselves as, you know, as becoming a pilot, because piloting school is hard. It's hard. It's expensive to become a pilot, like extremely expensive. So it's not something that's really in the ballpark for many people. Yet you
Mhm.
decided to take the plunge. Why?
The freedom, I suppose. That's a hard question to answer. Every pilot that I've ever talked to or know, you'll never find a pilot that doesn't have a love for flying. Never. And I think the main reason for that is if you don't have any love for flying or you're going into the business just for the money or like just to say you're not going to be a good pilot. Hell, I don't even think you'll end up becoming one. But other than like maybe a personal pilot, like you'll never make it to the commercial because you need that drive. You need that drive to actually get into it and fully make it. If that makes sense.
Right. It's not a career to get yourself, it's not a career to become rich. It's a career you do because you legitimately want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably also tough as nails.
Yeah. There's a lot of rules and regulations. The majority of being a pilot is not flying. It's actually learning rules and laws. That's yeah.
If you had to compare it between getting a driver's license for an automobile and getting your pilot license to pilot a plane, how much harder is it? I like to know.
A lot harder.
Give me a number. How many times were difficult? How many times were difficult? I want to know.
um, I mean, getting your drivers is like a single test of DMV, and then like you pay like $20 for like 4 lessons, and then boom, you have your drivers. It didn't. And it's like a good like 60 times harder, 100. I don't want to like stay too high or low, but it's, like, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. There's a lot of memorization and studying you have to do in order to actually become a pilot.
Okay, and I mean that's really interesting, but at the same time, I mean, obvious. I mean, piloting an aircraft. I mean, it's much more complicated, especially the laws of aeronautics. Gotta know how to do certain things. You gotta be a mechanic. You gotta be a weatherman. You gotta be able to keep things steady, not have a shaky hand, be of sound mind and body. It just requires a lot of different skills.
Indeed, yeah.
A lot of different skills. Like for example, what do they usually teach you when you're getting yourself into piloting? Like what are the bases that are usually covered?
So like start to finish, like when you first start, and like that. You mean?
Yeah, like what are some of the courses that they teach you? Like what did they usually cover?
And they teach you. Teach you quite literally. But okay, so for me, when I first started, before I even stepped foot into the Cessna, I had to take 2 ground lessons, and basically both of them were just talking about the aircraft. You have to learn about the aircraft. You have to learn how the engine works, why it works, how the wing works. You have to you're just learning how the entire plane works, and a few laws off the bat in airspaces. Currently, I just finished doing some stalls about like 3 days ago, I think. I have a test coming up I have to actually study for after this.
Wait, so you actually had to intentionally stall your aircraft and then recover?
Yeah. Every pilot
Isn't
has
that
to do it.
scary? Isn't that
I'm-
scary?
The first time maybe, but personally after like my flight instructor did the first stall. That scared me a little bit, but after that it's not really because you learn what you have to do. So you don't get scared when it happens. That's what you're training for. You're training for situations that you don't want to happen. But if they do happen, you don't get scared, freak out, and panic. So you know how to get out of it, how to save your life, how to save your passengers, how to save everyone's life, the people on the ground, the people you're flying with, and the aircraft, especially the aircraft. You gotta love your aircraft.
I mean, when you're flying something that could be the initial for a car, or quite literally a house, like I can imagine like a 777 or like an Airbus like costing like a pretty penny.
Yeah, they're a couple million, yeah. The Cessna is only a couple thousand in comparison.
Thousand? I think Cessnas are more like 100,000 maybe.
No.
Maybe. No,
No.
are they
You'd
are
be
they cheap?
surprised how some planes are like $15,000, cheaper than cars.
Wait, really? I thought getting a plane was like an investment. Like if you like a
I mean,
Cessna is like something you're gonna
because you have
sink
to
like 70K.
I mean, you might end up doing that much anyway because you need a place to store it. You have to buy fuel. You have to do maintenance. There's a lot of stuff you have to do. So like, in total, yes, maybe like 70K depending on the plane. But the plane itself is not really that much compared to like everything else. Because you have to pay for the teaching, obviously, assuming you like haven't already. But yeah, you do have to pay a lot of money. But the plane itself is not that much.
I mean,
Of course, depending on the plane you get.
is it cheaper though to, for example, say I have a plane and I want to go from Florida to the Bahamas? Wouldn't it be cheaper to buy coach, or is it like more cheap? I don't think it's cheaper. But it gives you more freedom. Like for example, to take a Cessna and to go from point A to point B. I mean, it would be cheaper to get yourself a seat at a plane. Coach.
To
like the cost, Yeah.
Commercial as opposed to your. It'll probably be cheaper flying commercial because you don't have to pay, depending on where you land, you have to pay landing fee, parking fee, and fuel. Of course. And fuel, the prices go up really quick. But the benefit is you get to fly when you want. You don't have to book a flight and like fight a bunch of people just to get to your seat, be uncomfortable. It's your plane. It's like why drive your car when you can take the train? You know, it's that.
You like the freedom that it gives you.
Yeah. And
you wanna feel free. You wanna, like that one song, "Fly Like an Eagle."
I suppose so. Yeah.
See, I didn't know that you could get planes for cheap. I mean, I honestly thought it was like an investment, something that only people with a lot of money are able to do. But you're actually opening my eyes, and hopefully our audience here, a little bit about the world of flight, because we're always being told like flying is expensive, jet fuel in general, doing this, doing that. But it's something that it could be attainable by people who actually like feel devoted towards the art. Because me myself, like my flight experience is usually reserved to VR sims and or, for example, Microsoft Flight Simulator. Some people say that it's like the most realistic flight software that there is. Maybe you could disagree. Maybe you, with your experience, could you enlighten a little bit about the difference and the realism that some simulators can provide for the average consumer?
So, currently, like the most popular one, probably that will be popular forever, is Microsoft Flight Sim. It's not the most realistic. I think anyone who's played it can easily tell you it's not the most realistic. They try to be, it's a video game at the end of the day. It's not gonna be realistic at all. Most realistic that I know of is DCS, but that's more so combat aircraft, such as like the F-15, 18, and all the fighter jets around the world, along with helicopters and stuff like that. So, to my knowledge, that's the most realistic one, excluding like the military stuff and stuff airlines use to train commercial pilots.
I don't know, if we go with the simulators that commercial airlines use, like I think that's like the most realistic you can find. I mean, that's what they use to train pilots.
Yeah.
But it's not something that is readily available to the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
Usually, we're depending on what's readily available, publicly. I mean, in your opinion, what would be something that you would recommend if you actually like somebody approached you and said like, I wanna know what it actually feels like to fly a plane. Like I wanna like actually like get the feel to see if this is something that I want to pursue. What would you recommend them?
Assuming they had a VR headset, I would say VTOL VR. It's a good mix of archaic controls and realism. Because it's not that difficult to learn the controls or the buttons. There's not many buttons. It's not a million buttons that's gonna overwhelm your brain. It's a fighting game, but you don't have to fight, of course. You can just get in the plane, fly around, and yeah. Obviously, it's a fighter jet. You're gonna be pulling J's in the game. You won't feel them IRL, but it's a good way to get a sense of how how a plane works. How you land, take off. What are some of the procedures a pilot has to go through in order to fly? So yeah.
And have you used any VR software as part of your formal training as a pilot? No, it was all like simulators by your piloting school usually, or just like flat screen simulators.
Never used a simulator. I've only ever actually. I technically used one, but I didn't fly it. I sat at it. We talked about the controls, and then we just left. We didn't fly with the sim. I've only ever just flown the Cessna.
So your love for flight was literally instilled in you by quite literally getting on real planes and actually flying for real. Actually, like getting the feeling.
Yeah, I love nothing beats, for me personally. I love going on trips because I love the plane. I love the feeling of takeoff. I love landing. Those are the best feelings ever. The acceleration, the feeling your body go weightless for a split second. You don't really feel many G's, of course, in a commercial, but like feeling like the 0.1 extra percent of G's. It is very nice. I love it. And I just want to keep feeling that,
You're just like, hey, you want to get into flying? Like, fly the actual thing.
Yeah. And I could do what I want. And I want to be like, man, I wish you would just turn this way again. Like, nah, I just do it myself. It's like, I want to go that way. I'm just gonna,
But if you had to recommend like an alternative for people to actually like get the feeling like at home, VTOL VR would be the one thing, the one that you would definitely recommend.
Yeah, if you want a mix of realism and like some archaicness, VTOL VR. If you just want pure archaic in VR chat, there's plenty of flight worlds you can go to that are nowhere close to real. Some may argue there are realistic ones in VR chat, but they're not really that realistic at all. They're all pretty much arcade games. And then, of course, if you want as realistic as you can get, DCS is what you go for.
Yeah, you said the VR chat flight sims are not realistic, but you do spend a lot of time in many of them. You spend a lot of time in test pilots, just flying fighter jets, helicopters, just having your good fit of fun. Yeah. That's just like your way to unwind after a stressful day of like piloting. Is that like you're like, I don't like realism, I don't like physics, I just want to go and just unwind.
It's a good way to just do the most unrealistic thing you can think of in a plane. in a
It's like truckers. It's like truckers, you know. You like I spent 8 days traveling across the country. Now I'm gonna take a rest, and I'm gonna take a rest by playing Euro Truck Simulator.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. The truck sim is, I don't know. Personally, I think it's like the exact same thing, except you're just in 20 minutes instead of 5 weeks. It's very silly. Yeah.
So
I feel like the equivalent to trucking, to truckers just playing trucker sim would be airline pilots playing Microsoft Flight Sim and just flying like the exact same plane that they
like
fly. Just
flying the exact same plane, same exact route they just did.
Mhm.
Like, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
This is your captain speaking. I'm going to be traveling from Florida all the way to North Carolina. Please have a safe flight. And they just like
Oh
do the
my
actual
days.
thing at home. Like realistically,
Mhm.
like no time skip.
No time, Steve. Yeah.
So I want to know why is learning piloting important to you? Like you told me why you wanted to pilot in the first place, but why is it
Mhm.
important? Like aside from like why you decided to do it, like why is it that important to you?
The freedom, um, partly the money, of course. The money will always be like a good incentive, but a good chunk of it is the freedom. I originally I wasn't actually going to go into the airline industry, but I wanted to become a physicist, theoretical physicist. But the college I was looking at to go to, tuition was about 60,000 a
A
semester.
year? A
Uh,
semester?
yeah. So
Damn!
I looked towards becoming an airline pilot to fund that dream because a lot of money. Of course, it would take some time because I gotta pay off some stuff. I have yet to take out student loans. I don't know if I ever will, but maybe, I don't know. We'll see in the future. But it will take a lot of time, a lot of money saving. But it is to fuel that dream. I want to get my doctorate and stuff.
Okay, I mean, I was gonna follow up with a question about what is your objective slash goal as a pilot, but I mean, I mean, you did say that piloting is you're using piloting to fuel your goal for your future career. But
Mhm.
I'm
It'll probably always
I'm
be
gonna
my
rearrange it.
career
I'm gonna rearrange it and ask you like, what is your objective or goal as a pilot?
as a pilot to enjoy my life. Like, have all the fun I want when I want. I'll have enough money to buy what I want, help the people I want, just do what I want. Yeah, it's just all the freedom I could want. Honestly, pilots only fly for about half the month, or not fly, only work, I should say, for about half a month total, like every month, because the safety, of course, number one priority. Pilots need to they need to have a lot of rest periods. Need to have plenty of sleep and be exercise, very healthy, all that stuff. So the airlines, of course, make sure of that. So you have a lot of downtime when you're not flying, and quite a few days off.
I mean, in what? Okay, so I mean that I know. I know pilots tend to take long, like long rest periods in order because yes, you're operating a piece of machinery that weighs I don't know how many tons. You're flying a tube across the air, and you need to be of sound mind and body, so you don't make mistakes. You need to be
Yeah.
rested. You need to be well fed. You need to be in a good state of mind. Everything just so things don't go wrong. Just so human error is not part of the equation. If
Hmm.
anything goes wrong, let it be a technical issue, not a human error from an overworked human, an overworked person.
Hmm.
But I want to finish this by just asking you, I mean, aside from like your goals and what you want to do as a pilot, what about the people that might be considering pursuing a career like yours? like who would you recommend this career path to, and what would you tell them about that career path?
Go for it. If you have the passion that all us well, I'm a student pilot. I don't want to say us pilots because I'm not a pilot yet, but for the sake of just saying it, if you don't have if you have the passion that all us pilots have, you can do it. It is a lot of work, a lot of studying. You will be overwhelmed at times, especially getting your personal pilot. Your personal pilot's license is, from what I've been told and I'm experiencing, is the hardest. It's the hardest to get because you're getting thrown everything. You got to learn a bunch of regulations, rules, the aircraft, maneuver. You're learning a lot all at once over the course of like a year. I know a year may sound like a lot. It's not. It's not. It'll be hard, but if you can push through that, all be worth it in the end.
Those are some mighty words. And who would you recommend the career path to? I mean, you did talk directly, but what about who do you think this is a career path for? Who should think about pursuing this career path?
Anyone who has a passion for flying should pursue it if they so desire.
From the hobbyists to the people that just like flying paper airplanes, to everybody, even like kite surfers that just like the feeling of flying, like going in the
kite
air.
Surfer, I think they would like being a glider pilot. Those types of people. A glider pilot might be their that might be their cup of tea.
But in general, anybody that has even a slight itch for flying,
yeah, go for it. It's a fun time. It's expensive, so it's a commitment. If you got the money to spare, go for it. But take it serious, because if you don't take it serious, they're just gonna take the money and you're out $15,000.
Yeah. I mean, do think it through. Do think it through. Don't want to be misusing money.
It's a commitment. If you want to do it, go for it. But only if you're very serious about it. If you're not, don't do it. You're wasting the CFI's time and your time.
Well, that was really good aeronautics talk. But now let's talk about what got you here in the first place. Not the pier, the VR space. Now I want to know what got you into VR.
COVID. I got a Quest 2 headset, and I always knew there was a virtual flying game, so I was like, I should get one so I can fly in them. And that's what I did. And here I am. It's really that simple, honestly.
That simple. You just wanted to experience the thrill of VR flight. And where did you find that thrill?
In test pilots, mostly. I flew a lot in Desert Air Base and what's it called? NF-18 World. I think it's called Carrier.
So you quite literally got yourself a headset. First thing you did was boot up your chat.
Because at the time there was no like actual like games you can, at least to my knowledge, there were no like good fighting/flying games for the VR headset.
So you went straight into VR chat because they were like that. It was the platform with the most experiences that could simulate the thrill of flight, and you wanted to pursue that. That's like your whole reason. Like you live, breathe, drink, sleep aeronautics. You just like the whole thrill of it. Like even with VR, even your story as to why you got yourself VR is because of flying. Usually people use VR to like, do something that they can't do in real life, pursue something else.
It is a nice escape, You get to fly whenever you want and be cartoonish. You get to be what you want in VR chat. Obviously, I'm a bunny. It's nice, but yeah, the main focus was flying and just meeting new people I get to talk to.
And wasn't that also like a motivator for you to actually pursue flying in real life? Because COVID was about 6 years ago at this point.
Yeah, it
So
definitely helped as well. It definitely kept the dream alive, you know, especially
I
during the time where I
see.
feel like nothing, like you can't do anything.
Everybody is in lockdown. You can't leave your house. And all of a sudden, you're
Hmm.
given the opportunity to experience this brand new world, a virtual world where you can do anything,
Hmm.
hang around with people, and just, feel social, act social. I was the same way.
Yeah.
When the pandemic happened, my escape was social VR. It wasn't VR chat for me, it was Rec Room. But it was still a social VR platform that allowed social gatherings in a time where real social gatherings in person was actually prohibited. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting phenomena how quite literally locking everybody up was actually the best thing that could have happened to VR. And many
Yeah.
VR users like yourself, do you think that if it wasn't for that situation, you wouldn't have gotten into VR, or maybe have gotten it at a later time?
I might have still gotten into VR because I did also want to play Beat Saber. I initially like knew of VR because of Beat Saber, and I always wanted to play that game. So I probably would still gotten a VR headset, but maybe not as soon, like you said. So it definitely made me want to get one more though, because I'd be able to fly more in in VR, not in real life, of course. I wasn't flying at the
A,
time.
a good motivator gave you a really good push in order to get yourself into VR.
Hmm.
Really, really interesting. Your story is also being shared with many people. Many people have had similar stories regarding the pandemic. You
Yeah.
actually lived through it. Wow. Now, you did mention your avatar. I really want to get the juice out of your avatar, about your online persona, about EllyBelly as a person in the VR meta space. So walk us through.
Ah, when it comes, uh, not to, I don't want to say, not to toot my own horn, but I'm a little known in the test pilot space. I'm a very good dogfighter, and people have recognized that, and it's got me some fame, but a little, mostly misfortune, just because people don't like that I play the game the way I play it. So, but it's nice.
Now I really want to know about your avatar, like your online persona.
What do you mean, my online persona? I don't really know how to answer that. The avatar,
The
like
VR
about it.
space. Whenever we're in VR, we can't show our real selves, so we tend to have an
Hmm.
avatar, a character that represents us when we're here. Like right
Hmm.
now, I'm a shark here, sitting, talking with you in probably an environment that would be physically impossible, and you are you. Now I want to
Hmm.
know
Oh, so
about
why
your
the
character.
bunny?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So so it took me a long time to actually find a good bunny model that I liked because I'm a little nitpicky when it came to like the way the avatar looked. Very commonly, for some reason, bunny models they have like nubbed feet. Personally, I don't like that. I like Digi, but uh, why I chose a bunny is because rabbits they're quick, they're sneaky, and cute. I like being all those things. So bunny. A few people have an issue with my color scheme, but they stink.
Well, why do they have an issue with your color scheme? I mean,
I don't
avatars
know.
are supposed to be a representation about who
Hmm.
who we are, how we look, what we represent.
Yeah, I
Everybody
don't
has a
know. They
story.
just don't like the colors. That's just their own issue. That or they just got
Oh,
used to seeing me in my plushie avatar, which
your other
understandable.
avatar. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean,
That's
I
their
found it
own
interesting.
problem. They
I
used
mean,
to.
I would have found it funny, like if your character was a dog, because then again, you could say like I like to get myself into dog fighting, and then you're being you're doing a dog fight against a dog. I mean, that'd be clever.
Yeah,
That'll be
it's
clever.
clever. Yeah, that is. Yeah, it's a bit on the nose though for me. So, nah.
There's probably somebody out there who flies around in a dog avatar and is like, I'm dog fighting.
Oh yeah. Most of the people I know, they're all like Nova based or like a Wicca beast. A lot of furries flying test pilots, or not even just that, just the VR chat flight space. A lot of them are furries.
Funny you mentioned that, and thank you for mentioning that. Now I want to know your opinion on something. You are a member of the furry community, as you have already
Hmm.
clearly stated. There's a lot of furries in the aviation world. Like
Mhm.
a lot. Like I could like in Twitter, I've seen several who quite literally upload screenshots of them at their job, obviously without showing their face because they don't want being recognized at work. Like, oh look, we have a dog fighting our triple our Airbus or our 777 or 321. There's a lot of pilots. Like I've seen,
Mhm.
I went to a furry convention just once, and there I actually saw a guy who was using a pilot's uniform while
Wow.
fursuiting. And it wasn't like his real piloting uniform because that's a work outfit. Can't really do that. But apparently, there were an aerial pilot for an airline,
Hmm.
which that person does not disclose. Why do you think there might be a lot of furries in working in the airline industry?
For the same reason, there's a lot of furries in computer science and security and like online security. They're all autistic to some degree. We're all autistic because in order to do those types of jobs, do you have it has to do with the passion, slightly autistic people, or to like any degree, or just autistic in any degree, they would lean towards those things for whatever reason. They would always lean towards those things, and piloting just happens to be one of them. It's definitely on the lower end. I don't see as many as I do like computer science or like electrical engineers, but furries are everywhere, honestly.
I mean, I have a friend who is into trains, like a lot into trains,
Okay, the
and
classic.
furry guy. Furry. He's actually I'm just gonna name call him. I don't really mind. He's a merwolf. You know who I'm talking about, Marku. You really, really, really like trains to a fault. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but like really likes trains, train games, going like to in-person events like train watching, and I mean maybe he has like traintism. Maybe it's a thing. I don't know, traintism. But wouldn't like having something like autism for those kinds of jobs be a detriment, or not
Not
necessarily?
at all.
Can it actually help with the job?
I think so because they're so passionate about it. They learn everything and they take it very serious, which is all. If you're a flying, if you're a passenger on a plane, you want them to take it serious. You want them to be passionate about what they're doing. You want them to know everything about everything when it comes to the plane, which is exactly what people who are autistic or just like that's just their big interest. That's what they do. They learn it anyway, and that's who you want to do those jobs, which is why it's perfect.
I mean, it does make sense. I mean, honestly, once thinks of any sort of like birth defect or any sort of like mental illness, like autism is usually referred as a sort of illness or detriment towards people, as in this person will never reach their full capacity. But they could actually be relatively and generally positive for some people. But a lot of people don't seem to really cultivate that set of people. Usually they tend to like talk down people with that tick. Could we call it a tick? Um, being autistic is usually frowned upon. usually seen as a bad thing, something that people try to like really get it out of the individual. But it can actually be a
feel
good
like
thing.
that. It's a good thing in the way I described it, but what most people find to be the bad thing is how socially inept some people are, some autistic people are. They don't get social cues like everyone else, like people who don't have autism. So sometimes it's a bit harder to have a conversation with them, which is why it's kind of, I don't want to say frowned upon, but like people tend to like not like them. As well as like online, as well as I'm sure anyone who's watching this has seen on VRChat specifically, there are a lot of videos of people finding people who aren't in the right mindset and then making a clown out of them. As in like they encourage them to say dumb things, do dumb things. And that definitely adds to the whole autism people aren't normal people. I don't want that person doing anything that's gonna affect me in a way, you know?
Just using them as a tool for ridicule, which is a horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still people. They have the thing. They have the thing, and they can't really do much about it. But some of them, most of them, are actually trying to work around it and become better people. See,
Yeah.
I am not. I do not like people getting abusing that motivation that some people that energy that some people have to become better themselves just for the sake of a joke or ridicule. So, I mean, have you seen it yourself? Because I have seen a couple of trolls I've seen people in here. I mean, even the VS space is not safe from people who just decide to do naughty things, and I've seen many people try to make fun of. And sometimes you try to intervene. I mean, I've tried to intervene. I don't know if you've seen it yourself here. That
I
sort of
have
behavior
many
happening publicly.
times. Yes. I every now and then I'll go into a work called Furry Hideout, which I believe is where I met you actually.
We did meet up at Furry Hideout, yes.
Yeah. Typically I go to 18 plus ones, but sometimes there aren't any. So I'll just go to a public one. And those words, the public ones specifically, I should say, a good 60% of the people actually in those worlds aren't furries there to hang out or talk. They are trolls, people on desktop, new accounts, trying to do the same, all of them trying to do the same thing that they see on YouTube. They're on desktop, they put on a furry avatar, pretend to be a furry, say weird things, talk weird, and they just try to mimic the stuff they see online, as in the trolling. And it is sad to see because it makes it hard for people like me who just want to go and talk to other fairies.
Makes it difficult in general, but thankfully, thanks to recent implementations of instances that are heavily moderated and only allowing people who are over the age of 18, allows those people to avoid those sorts of naughty interactions, which is unfortunate because there's still people below the age who are have not yet that level of maturity to be able to join those instances that still have to suffer throughout those instances that are not moderated and just become a cesspool of naughty things, of naughty behavior, of trolling.
Yeah.
On sportsmanship, I'd say.
Yeah, VRChat gets a lot of hate for putting like verifying your age behind a paywall. I get it, but I also like at the same time because it means someone can't just make an account, age verify it instantly, and just go into an age verified world, because then it'd just be another public world, just where everybody says they're 18. Of course, that can still happen. Every now and then I'll see a troll in an 18 plus, but it's a lot like the actual. It will say 40 people in there, and maybe like 2 could be like trolls instead of the other way, which is very good.
Sometimes measures need to be taken in order to guarantee a safe environment. I mean, I still like social VR spaces, I do believe that not everybody that comes here comes with the intentions of just misspreading information or just being a bad sport to other people.
Mm.
It's just that sometimes you really need to dig deep in order to find the diamond. You gotta dig through the coal before you actually find the diamond, and you
It
actually meet
does
the
take a lot.
interesting people.
Yeah, it takes a while to find that diamond, especially in VR chat. Because of course there are weird people in VR chat, regardless if they're a troll or a fairy. You're always gonna find weird people in any fandom.
There are gonna be bad apples everywhere, but that doesn't mean that everybody is bad. Like,
Mhm.
I work at a TV station, and during the month of February, mid-February, there was a lot of talks about Therians. They made Therians sound like they were gonna invade our country. They were gonna
Wow.
behave like animals, run on all fours, bark at people, sniff dogs' butts.
Oh my
Just be like
days.
general nuisances. And thankfully, I had the chance to actually bring a Therian here to Pier-to-Pier. That was one of my main goals when I started this. It's like, I want to interview those that the not other people would like think twice about bringing here, because maybe people deem that not interesting. But I do believe, and this is the Pier-to-Pier motto, I do believe that everyone has a story to tell. Everybody has something to say. Could be something minuscule, but it could be something of great worth as well. But you never know unless you actually sit down with the person and actually have a good conversation with them. And I brought a
agree.
Therian, and it gave me a good insight. A good insight about why would somebody decide to become a Therian, the mentality behind it, and just gave me a really good understanding that generally not a lot of people pay attention to, because nobody decides to stop and smell the flowers. We're always moving. We're always like going from thing to thing.
Mhm.
Getting that extra understanding, allows you to understand that not everything is what it seems visually. You can
Mhm.
judge a book by its cover, but unless you open the first page, you're never gonna realize that The Godfather is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it adds a extra level of perspective that a lot of people that's what a lot of people who say they don't like furries don't have the actual perspective of what it's like to be a furry, or just who furries are. They just go off of all the hate that they see online, and it just ruins their perspective on them.
Dude, furries run the world. Furries are like
Kinda, yeah.
furries are pilots. Like, I had
Yeah.
thus far here. Who had I had? Software architects. I had truck drivers, filmmakers, doctors, dancers, culinary chefs working in the highest esteemed restaurants. Like, I could like just start thinking, like, the list is so long of
Mhm.
IT. Freaking, they work in IT. They fly your planes. They do all of the jobs that literally run the world. And at the end of the day, many of the people who hate furries turn into furries themselves. So it's
Yeah,
like,
that is a running
it's
joke.
funny.
Yeah.
You can bully furries, but later down the line, they tend to discover that, hey, maybe this is not so bad, and they just dip their toes in. Next thing you know,
Mhm.
they have a sauna. They're part of the community, and they regret their choices, because it's not a life. It's not changing their own lives. It's literally finding something that they like, a community of like-minded individuals that like to push each other forward, and that's the
Yeah.
beauty of it.
Mhm. It is.
But unfortunately, we have ran out of time. We gotta close this up. We gotta close this up, but not before I ask you a final question. A final
Ah,
question, and I want you to extend it for as long as you like. This is
okay.
a VR podcast, and even though this is targeted towards people who already have VR and they already understand the lingo, I always like to finish off by talking directly to the person who doesn't have a VR, who has not yet um, sunken their toes into it. Haven't taken the plunge. I
Hmm.
want you to look and talk directly to that one person who's still undecided about this technology, about jumping in. getting themselves a headset, getting themselves not exactly into social VR, but VR in general. If you could talk to that person and tell them something, what would you tell them?
Get a headset. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't need an Index, $1,000 headset. You can get a Quest 2 off of Facebook for a couple, like $100. Quest 3S is a very good headset. Get it. You can play plenty of games. There are flight sims that aren't in VR chat that are available in the Quest store. You can get. There's Beat Saber. There's Gone 2 as well. I've not played that yet. But you should get it, if you ask me. You won't, even if you don't play it every day, every other week, what have you, just get one. It is a fun time. You get to do something you can't normally do in the real world. You get to be something you're not in the real world as well, maybe. If you go into VR chat, you can a very popular avatar. You get to be a Titan from Titanfall 2 or Godzilla. That's another popular avatar I see. You get to be an animal, an anime character, a building if you want. I've seen it all. You can be anything. It's just a fun thing to be for like an hour or two. Then you get off and do whatever. It's just a fun escape from the real world. So I highly recommend you get one.
Again, EllyBelly, thank you very much for accompanying me tonight here at the pier. And to our great and beautiful audience, thank you all for sticking here and enjoying another episode of Pier-to-Pier podcast, where we explore the people who reside within these virtual worlds and the studies and knowledge that they carry. May you all have a wonderful rest of your day.